Let's discuss some ways that ProMode can fit into your overall SEO strategy or your strategy as it pertains to showing up in AI search results. But first, let's level set the conversation. When we talk about showing up in search or showing up in AI overviews, what we are talking about is fundamentally that there is valuable information on your website, in your domain, that answers questions that people are asking. This is SEO in a nutshell. Granted, there are other hacks and tricks that are certainly a part of a more holistic SEO strategy. But for the purposes of our discussion today, the thing that we're primarily concerned with is that gap between your company having valuable information that people are searching for and the difficulty in getting that information published onto your domain. So in our example today, I'm actually going to be working in ProMode's portal, and I will be using information from hundreds of past call transcripts that we've done on sales calls, meeting with other founders, networking in general. And I'm going to be taking all of that valuable information, putting it into a document, and then publishing different pieces of web content from those questions. My hypothesis is that these call transcripts represent actual questions that people have asked in a way that they would ask them if they went to a search engine to try to get more information. Let's take a look at how we do this. In this instance, we use AskElephant as our call transcriber. You maybe use the same thing or any different tools, but all of these tools are generally the same. There's some type of chat interface that you can go to, and you can get a report of all past calls. In this instance, what I did is I went through hundreds of call transcriptions and I asked the chat, what are the most common questions that people have when it comes to AI implementation in their business? And so I have this 6-page PDF with 10 categories and specific questions that were asked throughout hundreds of calls that we have had with various prospects and partners. I have this PDF. Now I need to add it into our ProMode portal so that I can transform it into training data. So what I'll first do is I will add it into my documents. I will use AI to extract all of the raw text from the document, and then I will add that into my documents view. Now I need to take this raw data and I need to convert it into training data so that it's AI usable. Since these questions are all from prospects, these are people that would be good customers for ProMode, I'm going to add an audience profile. For my focus doc, I'm going to select AI implementation questions that I got from my call transcriber, and then I'm going to add a focus here. In this case, I want to focus on common questions and concerns related to AI implementation. And I'm going to generate this audience entry. One thing you'll notice is that raw document that I put in there when I created this audience profile has been filtered through all of the previous data inside of my ProMode portal. So I don't need to provide any instructions related to that. Everything is geared towards your organization. So any new data that comes in will always be filtered through your organizational presets. And now in my audience profiles, we see that I have AI implementation stakeholders. I gave this a thorough review. I'm going to save my audience profile now. And as is the case with most workflows in ProMode, my next step is to assemble that training data plus any other training data that I want to for this workflow into an overlay. After I've added my focus, I'm going to go ahead and select the audience that I just created from my call transcripts. And then I want to associate that with my core products. And because we're going to be creating a lot of web content, I think it would be worthwhile to throw in some information from one of our case studies. In this case, I think that medical device marketing would be a great case study to include in this. Now let's go ahead and generate my overlay. My overlay is ready to go. I have a summary, I have the features, instructions on how to use it, negative instructions, things to avoid, and then examples that we might expect to see in the output. Again, all of this is editable. You can add to it, you can delete it, and you can get these overlays to be exactly how you want them. Let's approve and generate some web content. Now for this example, I could choose multiple pieces of web content, but in this instance, I'm just going to choose one. If you were to choose more than one piece of web content here, it would take your overlay and it would break it up into a cohesive narrative structure that spanned all of those pieces of web content. But just because I want to show some other workflows after the fact, I'm only going to select one. Okay, and now we see after a couple minutes, my web piece has come through. The title is Cutting Through AI Adoption Fog, How Leaders Turn Concern into Confidence. Everything is pre-formatted with the appropriate H1 and H2 headers, and I have the content here. Let's say I like the narrative of this piece, but I don't quite like the structure of it. So that's what we have this feedback for here. I want this to read more like a white paper. This is sort of an easy to read blog, but let's go ahead and increase the technical aspects. Let's regenerate that content. And here I have my updated content, and we have now more of a white paper style. So now let's say I wanted to go the other direction. I wanted to simplify this, and I wanted to make this more of an FAQ style. So let's go ahead and make that edit to this content. And now we can see here, using all of the same training data, we were able to create 3 distinct views of this web content, from middle of the road to highly complex and technical. And now we took it back down to a beginner's guide FAQ for AI implementation. I'm going to approve this. So now it will automatically publish onto my website. Let's talk about how else we can use this overlay. Now what I want to do is I want to create a practical guide for AI implementation. So I took all of that source data, added a new focus, and what I'm going to do is regenerate this overlay. We see here I have completely reconfigured the original training data, and now we have a new messaging strategy that is geared towards business leaders who are beginning their AI adoption journey. Now I would like to create a 3-piece series on this. So I've selected 3 web pieces now, and we'll take a look at how ProMode will take all of the training data in here, plus the new focus I just applied to it, and break that narrative into 3 distinct steps. Or you can have this on your site as landing pages to use if you're doing any type of email marketing campaign. While we're waiting for this content to generate, let's talk about how ProMode takes any source data that you have and filters it through an SEO strategy. What I'll do is I'll go to my fingerprint profile and take a look at my site profile. Here's all the evergreen information about your business through which everything that enters into ProMode is filtered. One of the things that is used as a filter mechanism is your SEO strategy, which contains your primary, secondary, and tertiary keywords. Each of these keywords are also attached to cornerstone content on your domain and then authoritative backlinks that are off of your domain. You now only have to focus on having rich source data and answering questions. You worry about the content, you worry about the narrative, you worry about speaking to your customer problems. You're finally able to worry about the content instead of stuffing all of these keywords into your headers. Okay, and now we see that my 3 web pieces have returned. We have a practical playbook for business leaders who aren't here to screw around. So you can tell this is filtered through our brand voice. That does sound like ProMode. Hype to ROI. And then we have scaling AI marketing, how ProMode makes compliance, consistency, and control your competitive advantage. So we've now taken that overlay and split that between 3 narratives to have a nice little sequence of web content. Again, the main idea here is that all of this ties back to actual questions that our customers and prospects have asked us on real sales calls. And prior to AI, the ability to get these real human interactions transformed into publicly ready information has been nearly impossible. But with ProMode, you have the ability to take all of this raw data, add it into your fingerprint profile, and then publish content that represents the exact questions that people are asking.
LLM architecture for professional communicators.